challenge is called Pre-FizzBuzz workout number 1. This is the first step to understanding FizzBuzz. Your input's a positive integer n greater than or equal to 1. N is provided. You have no control over its value. You are expected to output an array of positive integers from 1 to n inclusive. Your job is to write an algorithm that gets you from the input to the output. So that's clear. We can check out the method signature to be sure. They want an integer array returned. They're going to give us an integer n. They claim it'll be greater than 1, but let's enforce that. If n is less than 1, and go ahead and pause and try this for yourself first. If n is less than 1, I'll just say throw new argument exception. We've been using that one. We could say argument must be greater than or equal to 1, but was, and we can print that out. That might be helpful. You can imagine if the argument came in as the result of some other method where people weren't quite sure what might be in there. A little message like that can be helpful. Anyway, it should never hit if they don't use that like they said. We don't need this. Now, do you remember we've been doing some other challenges with LINQ methods that handle a situation like this quite well, and the repetition's actually good. You know, you do these things once and you kind of forget about them. So this is a little test to see if you remember. Even if you don't, you should have an idea of what you can look up. I'll go ahead and bring in system LINQ, and for my exception, let's go ahead and bring in system2. Oops. Now for the solution, it's quite simple. Return enumerable. Remember the enumerable class? It has a method called range that does just this. And we can say from 1. Remember, they said from positive integers from 1 to n. And then we can simply pass it n. And I encourage you to go back to the docs page if you don't remember this. You can type in C# enumerable range and get there. And then just note that the first value represents what you start at. We're starting at 1. And then it goes up in ascending integers in the count that you provide in the second parameter. So that's close. Remember, the range returns a sort of generic collection of integers, and we have to give it back in an array form. So we know that enumerable has this handy toArray, and I think that'll do it. I'll run the test. Looks good. Okay, yeah, so the trick was to remembering enumerable range, that is. And if you're still doing the for loops, you can certainly do that too. You would have had to make an integer array and sized it from, you know, of size n, possibly n plus 1, you know, accounting for counting something like that around n. And then you could make a for loop from 1 to n, and then basically fill each index with the I value of the loop, and you increment it each time. Starts at 1, 2, 3. So yeah, that's fine if you want to do it like that too. I'm sure we'll see some solution that did it like that. I'll go ahead and submit this one off. And then we'll take a quick peek at what other people did. I imagine a lot of range. Yep. Range 1 to n, toArray. Sweet, we got over 100 honor. Let's see if we did. This is what I'm talking about with the integer array. If you wanted to make a for loop and populate it that way, you first make the integer array, size it right, go from I to n, and fill each position with that index. Notice they use zero-based numbering here, which is good. So they had to use I plus 1 to start at the value of 1. If they just used I, it would have started with the value of 0. It would have not returned the right result. So that's why you have the plus 1 there. Yeah, another for loop. More, not really necessary to create this temporary integer array, but that's fine. And for loops, yeah, really not much else to do there. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.